Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey guys, we're back. Tam and Ang, they're back. And as promised, we're going to talk about my psilocybin journey, the magic shrooms. Just for reference, I spent most of my life doing literally not a drug in the world, okay? I have used cannabis for sleep, but other than that, recreational drugs, it's not been up Jen's alley. But during this spiritual journey, I felt a pull towards it because as my meditation practice has progressed and my journey has progressed, I have felt a pull towards being able to open my brain even more and dig in a little bit deeper. And these two girls here are the ones I trusted to just give me the facts, teach me about the things, and then they ended up being present with me while I did it. Go back and listen to episode 52 and 53 if you have not, because we dive into all of this in more detail in those. But just as a refresher, there are all kinds of different plant medicine journeys you can go on out there, right, girls? You've probably heard of the MDMA, the ayahuasca, there's all kinds of things. And we're focusing on like someone's spiritual journey. I'm not talking about you guys chilling in the backyard doing psychedelics. That is not the purpose or what we're talking about here. And just as a quick disclaimer, none of this is meant to be medical advice. Not at all. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do this. I don't know what medical conditions you have. We don't know anything about you listening. This is a personal decision for you to make with proper intention. I'm mostly want to talk about my journey today, but I do want to give you guys some background on what the decision-making process looks like. So psilocybin does what to our brain?
Well, you can look at like the clinical trials right now, and psilocybin is demonstrating efficacy for so many things, from smoking cessation to support in end of life, terminal illnesses, major depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, autism, even physical things. So when you look at the trials with psilocybin compared to, let's say, other types of psychedelics or psychedelic assisted therapies, it definitely seems to be demonstrating a broader set of situations that people might be looking to, utilize psychedelic assisted therapy for. It also tends to be gentle on your system in that it's safe. There aren't a lot of considerations or contraindications. There are some. So like you said a moment ago, this is
but
not
less than many of the others. Psilocybin is a mushroom that grows out of the ground, right? This is a synthetic type of thing. And what exactly is it doing to our brain?
Well, exactly. We still don't know for sure, but it's working with the 5-HT2A receptor. I might have gotten that wrong, but something like that. Mm-hmm. And really what it's doing is it's like decolonizing the brain. So it's allowing parts of your brain that wouldn't normally be able to communicate with each other to sync up. And parts of your brain that don't normally connect are connecting. So it's creating, an expanded experience that allows you to access information that you're not able to access in this state of consciousness.
I've read research where there's so much of our brain we don't even access at all. Like so much power in our brain that we don't have access to. So this kind of opens it up. And I think for me, it was especially good because there were things probably not connecting in my brain related to trauma and other things, which is why a lot of research PTSD, like it's helping a lot of people access things that they just can't consciously, like you said, right? Yeah. So that's part of when you're making the decision, do I want to do this or not? Like for myself, the decision wasn't, I want to go on a fun trip and see the walls melting around me or what. No, that was not my intention going into it. So and this was not a quick decision for me. I didn't hear about it Monday and do it on Friday. All right. It was a journey for me. I took months to decide if I was even going to do it. I started into the preparation process for it. So this isn't something that you should go into or I went into lightly. You have to have an intention and a purpose. This isn't recreational. That's not what we're talking about today. I'm not snooting my nose at anybody who's doing it recreationally. your path, your choice. But for me, it felt like it needed to have a purpose. And so had already been thinking about it. And then I had my trip to Egypt. And when I was there in the temple and getting downloads and stuff, it actually came through like you need to follow through with that journey, that plant journey, so that we can open up and show you more things, basically, right? Because I was getting downloads that I did not understand at all. And it was presented to me then like, you don't need to understand now. Just absorb it, get it in your energy field. It will unfold over time. So this was one of the things that guided me also. So it felt in line because I had already learned about it from these two, from the episodes we did. All right. So I was like, okay, I think I know who could help me. So I started into this process. Now that I know the process, I feel like I can guide you through it a little bit better. And what happened for me, and this is not going to be the same for everyone, because even in integrating this, as I've talked with other people, there's a lot of similarities, but also everyone has their own complete journey. And both of these girls have gone through this process too. So I've told them they are free to speak freely. And I'm going to speak freely with you too, not because you have a right to my business, but because I want to share, to open it up to you so that you can see if this resonates with you or not, and to take some of the fear out of it if it does resonate. And because I think, a lot of us feel like we're alone out there right now in our spiritual journeys. And if we can connect with other people who are trying the things, I think it's helpful. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not here to overshare. And this isn't saying that everyone deserves to be in my business, but I told you you'd ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Here we sit. Here we sit, guys. This part of the journey is a fun one. So I kind of told you why I made the decision. Now I want to talk about the process once I made the decision, because I went through an intention setting in my mind of why am I doing this, right? Why? What's my purpose? What do I hope to gain and do with this? So part of it was IFS therapy. If you haven't listened, go back to the other episode, learn about IFS therapy. So I started into meeting my parts because I was certain that some of these parts were going to come up during my journey. So I wanted to be prepared for meeting them, talking with them. You guys know I have past childhood traumas and all kinds of things that I was fairly sure would come up, because part of the preparation, would you say, Ange, is also like for me was preparing for the worst?
Yeah, I think that was something that you acknowledged was a part that was like, well, what's
the worst vision I could start to have?
Yeah.
And am I prepared for that? Yeah. So a lot of it was work on that, because I was preparing myself to see things that maybe were going to be very uncomfortable for me. So that was part of the preparation, the IFS, also the soul readings with Tam. Talk a little bit about why those are so important before a journey.
I think the simplest way to say it is we use those to help clear the path. We use the soul reading in the beginning to illuminate things, validate things, and just sort of clear your path so that your path toward the medicine is an authentic intention for what you're doing. And so sometimes there's things that might need someone to say, oh, this is on your mind. This is activated in your body. This is taking up space in your body. And none of those things are super important to the journey itself. So we use that to just kind of clear the way.
Yes.
And get you there as clean and clear as possible.
Yes. Because the intention I felt like I was going into it with, and again, this was my intention. This doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed any of this is going to happen, just so you guys know. Because I will say a lot of the things I planned for never went down. Okay? Because your mind is going to go where it needs to go. I sent the intention that I wanted to continue healing old wounds that I knew I had in my body. I also wanted to continue to grow in my authentic self. That was a big part of it for me. And I wanted to continue to connect with not only my authentic self, but these parts I'd been meeting, and maybe take more back control of my life, which is part of living authentically and getting down my spiritual path further. Right? So those were kind of the intentions I set going in. And so I stated that a lot in meditation as a prep process. I really made sure my spirit team knew what I wanted. I think even right before I went into my actual journey that day, I said, can we please do this in a very gentle, safe, held way? And it was the entire time. So it's going into it with those intentions, I think is probably, would you say, one of the most important things? Again, because you're not just going into this for the fun of it, not in this context that I'm talking about, right? So that's part of the prep. I was doing the therapy, I was meditating, I was thinking about this stuff. And then in that, you want to start thinking about your setting because you want to feel safe and held. This is not something that I recommend you do alone, especially when you're jumping in for the first time. You need to have people that you trust there with you. You're making this decision independently, but it is good to have those with you that can help ground you if needed. What do you guys see your role as when you sit with someone?
Well, specifically, I mean, the way that Ange and I have created the way that we sit with people is we're there to witness, even in the silence. We're witnessing shifts and changes and all the beautiful things that happen. I do consider my role, just based on, what I do, is to hold space. We both hold space. I pay particular attention to the energy in the room, the energy shifts. We both do that. But we just take care to assure that there is a very sacred container that is held from the beginning till the end and beyond, before and after and during. And that is really our role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And then there's some of just even the physical and logistical components that, as you're saying, Jen, encouraging folks to have trusted someone with you, There's just the physicality when you're under the influence of any mind expanding substance. You want to make sure you're physically safe, Yes.
If I decided, I did not, but if I was home alone, I decided I'm going to go walk to some, girl, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's good to have sisters that can ground you again and say no, let's sit over here for a minute. Whatever. I didn't try and do that, but I can imagine being on my own, not handling a situation properly.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So it's a safety concern. It's a safe, nurturing feeling that you also have, which is why you kind of want to not meet someone for the first time that day, right? No, you want to feel safe. This goes through my head. I want to know that they're not recording me to post on their social media. Sure. You want to feel safe and held, that with therapy, it's your business and not the world's to share. Even though I'm doing a podcast on it now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is mine to share though. I asked the girls to come. So logistically, I had also been researching myself. I didn't realize psilocybin had different strains. I kind of went down a rabbit hole with it. The different strains and how they affect your body. And I was kind of researching all of that and dosing. Okay, this much. Ooh, you might not feel much. This much. Ooh, get ready, girl. All right. So there are varying doses amongst these strains even, just like with cannabis and other things. Okay. So I had done a little research on that and I was deciding myself on my dose. So I was in meditation and prayer about it. I was, me, I got the pendulum out, that. And so I was doing this on my own. And every single time I asked the pendulum and meditation, I got the same number every time. I got the same dose every time. And it wasn't a little dose either. As I researched, I'm like, oh, girl, you're going in. But that was also my intention because I did not want to just kind of have a little bit of a cool meditation. I was there to do some work, right? I was there to make some progress in my journey. So let's fast forward to the day of the journey. So got to have someone drive you, obviously, back and forth. We don't do substances and drive. We all know that. Okay. So you have to have a trusted driver, which I did. Had a light breakfast that morning, right? Because I didn't know. It's not like ayahuasca where you see people throwing up online and all this stuff. This is not the case, but I didn't know how my body would react. So just a little something. Brought my bottle of water. I brought my Isis statue from Egypt. I brought my crystal. The woo-woo things had to come, duh. Okay, so I was in very comfy clothes because I had planned on vegging out all day long. So comfy clothes. I show up. We've got our precious little altar. I can smell the sage in the air. Everything's been cleansed. Okay, then I'll just set the scene for you guys. Here's how it was. The location I was at, there was basically a bed on the floor. I don't know, like a mattress. Is it a mattress, guys?
They're a Japanese mat.
Guys, it looks like a blow mattress. Anyway, very comfy though. It didn't feel like a blow mattress. It was comfy. With this beautiful mandala sheet on it. They have fuzzy blankets ready for you. I had all the things prepped at this location. So I'm in there. I've decided on my dose. I did a little muscle testing, which we talked about in the episode, where you kind of I held my dose in one hand and then the other hand, you kind of see, what would you guys call that? What's muscle testing?
Yeah, your body's response.
My body's response. So honestly, I didn't know how much I had in my right hand. Okay. I didn't know for sure what the dose was. Then the other hand was yesing to that dose. And I threw in a little more. And then my body said no. Then I had the girls check for me and I was like, what would I end up with? And they're like, exactly what you thought. It was the exact number that I had gotten. So it was my exact dose. So I stood at this beautiful little altar that I had placed things on. And as I took my psilocybin, and just to be aware, if you're nervous right now about ingesting something that you're unsure of, there are kits you can order. You can test your dosing before you take it. If you're like, ooh, girl, is that laced? I felt pretty confident it wasn't, but you can do that. There are trusted providers. And then, didn't you say, Ange, there's a site? Is there a website?
Yeah, an organization called the Fireside Project. And you just go on that website and they'll give you suggestions for testing kits, answer a ton of questions about this, because there are a lot of folks that are living in places where it is maybe extra legal. And so, needing to get some questions answered.
Yes.
So this is like an educational site.
Yeah. So, I mean, because obviously it is not legal in every state. You can look up whatever state you're in. You can see if it's legal. You might have to travel. So yeah, there's some things in prep that you need to check for that. All right, back to my journey. So I'm at my little altar and I'm setting intention as I take each little, because they're in capsules, right? So if you're going to ask me what it tastes like, I don't fucking know. They were in the little gel capsules. Okay. So I took it all because I know people who just grab shrooms out of a Ziploc bag. This is not the situation. These look like medicine in a capsule. Okay. And by the way, I believe that my strain was penis envy. Just if anyone's Googling out there, I had a little penis envy on my trip. Maybe a little something else in it. I'm not sure. It was a good mix. That's all I'll tell you. Okay. So I take these pills and I'm like thinking, how long is this going to take to kick in? You start to wonder. So I sat on my little bed because I don't know. Is it going to be a minute? Is it going to be an hour? Is it different for everyone, you guys?
It ranges. Yeah.
It ranges. But within the first hour.
20 minutes to an hour.
Okay. So I feel like I started to probably don't have a full sense of time, but it felt like maybe a half an hour. Does that seem right, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Felt like about a half hour because I was sitting up. Like, all right, is it coming? Is it coming? And then as I felt it come, here's the situation. Because again, I've told you guys, my brain moves pretty fast, just like my voice, if you haven't caught on. But here's the deal. They had these this little mask, right? The little sleep mask. I'm a little weird about those too, but this had the dome inside so your eyes could open and close. I don't like to not be able to open my eyelids. And then noise canceling headphones and then a playlist, which I learned later is a specific playlist, right? I felt it coming on. I was like, all right, I'm going in. And so I put my stuff on, I laid down, and in we went. So the whole thing started out, and I'll just say I was surrounded by dogs. And this makes sense for me because I love dogs and they make me feel safe. I was surrounded by dogs that felt like they were probably all mine at some time in my life. I felt connected, but didn't recognize. Like I didn't know all their names. There was one that I had never seen a dog like this in my life, but he felt like mine. And I think I had named him Anubis, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, the dogs surrounded me because I was feeling nervous. Okay. But they were calming me down. It was almost like a circle of protection. And I think I might have said out loud to the girls, oh God, they're starting with the dogs. Like I think I said, the dogs are here. Anyway. And I will say this going into it. I had another intention and fear that I would forget. I wanted to remember everything. So we had come up with a plan that part of their job was Andrew's like my scribe. So she had a journal and she was writing things down. And so what would happen as I would do different things, because I knew I probably wasn't going to talk out loud the whole time, right? I like to go really in deep when I meditate and stuff. And I don't like to chit chat, if you can believe that. So I basically would go in deep into what they call them rooms. So, which is like, how would you describe a room, you guys? It's like an experience, right?
A theme, maybe.
A theme. Okay. So you would go into one. And what would happen was I would go into whatever themed experience I was going into. Then that would sort of come to a close. And I would just take off my headphones and my thing, and I would just spew it all out. I would just talk, because I didn't want to forget it. I knew Andrew was writing things for me. I just wanted, not word for word, but I wanted things that would trigger my memory later. So mine started like that with the dogs. Then I headed into my journey. I went on a little walk. And at one point, I remember thinking, someone said to me, and you guys, listen, this whole time I'm going to say, she said this, she said that. This is all me. I know that. Okay. I don't want you to think that I thought I was in the room with a bunch of people. I knew these were my parts, my spirit team, I knew this going in. I had no fear of any of it, any of the conversations, but I did find that I was talking about my body, my human body, in third person the entire time. It felt like a conference, like a meeting with a bunch of people that were all me, but it felt like sometimes I would refer to her. Don't you think she needs this? And she was me. My body, my human self. That's who I was referring to. So if you hear me talking about like people, there were no other people there. And I didn't lose my mind. I knew that the whole time. But it was an experience where the IFS and meeting the parts, my meditation journey already and meeting with my angels and spirit guides throughout this journey, like kind of all came into play together. So when I say that, that's what I mean. So it got to the point where they told me you cannot go any further down your path. And I took that to mean my spiritual path, my journey, my life, until you remember who you are. This is what I got told. Remember who you are. And I was like, all right, who the hell am I? What do you mean? And then I remember them saying, you need to meet Athena. And I didn't remember her name till the end. Because remember at the end, I told you guys, I should name that bitch. And you were like, she has a name. You already told us the name. I was like, I did? I was like, oh yeah, Athena. Okay. So they said, you need to meet Athena. Now, I'm still integrating exactly what Athena means and who she is. But I will tell you she's a badass bitch because she wasn't messing around with me the entire rest of this journey. Okay, the rest of this trip. She was present for the rest of I went in different rooms. I saw different things, but she was there. She was always kind of there. So I met her. And if I had to describe Athena, first of all, I probably told you guys how much I liked her hair, 100 times? I am in love with, I'm obsessed with this really long, beautiful, curly hair that people have. I don't have it. I probably did maybe in a past life and loved it, but I don't have it now. All right. I have this little mop on my head. Anyway, it was beautiful. I loved her hair so much. And she was this, she wore this beautiful, sometimes she was in a beautiful white pantsuit, like she was in a corporate meeting. And other times she would grow wings and fly away, right? Like an angel. But she was not messing around. And as I look back, she's who I needed because of my personality and who I was. If I would have had a little spiritual guide for my trip of some little Amish woman, I don't know, some little old wise woman, I would have eaten her alive. Okay. I needed someone who could put me in my place consistently. And she did, because I would bring things up to her. I would be working through whatever. And I would be like, but what about? And she was like, oh my God, you're not listening. We don't care. We don't care on the other side about that. She made that very clear the whole time and showed me all kinds of different things. Also, this is a fun little part of it. Aladdin. Do you remember the cartoon Aladdin? And there was that little Jafar's little bird. You know, he was a funny little thing. I liked him. Anyway, he was talking to her. And he went to grab her by her hair. And she was like, oh, hell no, you're not touching my hair. Right. And he was like, I was going to give you a ride because he was a bird, right? He was going to give her a ride. And she was like, don't get it twisted. She put him in his place real fast, this bird. She was like, yeah, I don't think you understand. I don't need you to give me, I don't need you. And she grew these wings, these huge angel wings. And she grabbed that bird and she flew off. She took charge of every situation. Now, like I said, I don't know if she's a spirit guide. I am still figuring that all out. So I don't know who she is, but I like her a lot. She's me. A part of me, right? I mean, obviously. So she was a little badass bitch. And anytime I got out of line, she put me right back in. Okay. Every single time. And so we found it, but they were showing me essentially, you need to remember who you are. So I took that as that I needed to embrace her and whatever she was here to teach me. I met other parts to you guys. Like I met my spider again. I met all kinds of things. So what happens is you're in this vision, this room, we'll call it. And then when that comes to a close, I would throw off my headphones. And just chat to all the girls. I would get up and go to the bathroom. And in the bath, I'll tell you this. So the place I was at has a bathroom with wallpaper that's lots of trees. You guys know I love my trees. And so I would go for my bathroom break. And depending on what experience I just had, because when she was really hardcore, like, we don't fucking care. You're not listening. We don't care. I would go into the bathroom and I would look right across at this wallpaper trees. And I would say, you don't fucking matter. What are you looking at? You don't even fucking matter. All right. Then I would come in after another room where they showed me more, right? Like, calm down, Jen. We do care about things. Everyone matters. Everything and everyone matters. And I would come back in and I would say, I'm so sorry, you guys. I would say to the trees, I am so sorry. You mean so much. Listen, I've learned more this time. Okay. So I bonded with wallpaper. trees. So that was fun, right? But I just want to say also, the room was not spinning. The walls were not melting. I was not seeing monsters peeking out. I want to assure you, I felt very held and safe the whole time. Yes, did I talk to some wallpaper trees? Yeah. Also, it was a good experience. I'm going to say I really liked it. Anyway, the girls are laughing at me, but I'm just trying to tell you guys like it is. Okay. I'm being honest. All right. I'm in and out of all these rooms. I mean, there was a lot that went down, you guys. I will say this. I had prepared for the worst. I had prepared to go back to childhood trauma that I didn't feel like I fully remembered details of, because one of my parts had hid them from me, which I wasn't sure if I needed to see it or not. I didn't know. So I went in with that intention, and I will say that didn't happen. I didn't see any of those visions. And I asked, I tried, right? I said, I think she needs this. Don't you think we should? I even tried to visualize my abuser's face to almost force it on myself. It did not happen. They're like, you don't understand. You don't need to do that. We're not doing that. Again, Athena was like, cut your shit. Like, we're not doing that. You know, we have a lot to accomplish today, and that's not part of it. Now, in retrospect, was I just not ready? Maybe. I don't know. Was I not ready, or have I done the work? I have done a lot of work on that. I knew that. And there was a point. Okay, so I didn't see any of that like I thought I would. I had prepared for it. It didn't happen. What I did see, though, was I saw a lot of body work, like commitments I made to keep this human body healthy so that we could do the work we need to do in this lifetime. And I believed, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I think these girls kind of witnessed it in the room, that I did purge some of the traumas that I had worked on, but were stored still in my physical body. I was able to release those. So the healing work happened not the way I planned. So I did heal during this psilocybin trip, for sure. Not in the way I planned, but it definitely happened, right? So when that was happening for me, girls, what was the vibe in the room? What were you feeling?
Well, are you talking specifically about when you feel like you worked something out of your body? One of the things I was feeling was, it was just very, very subtle that you were kind of in a loop. You were kind of stuck in, and I don't remember what you were saying, but you were kind of in this loop. You were talking in a circle. Same thing, kind of in a circle, And you were also physically, subtly distressed. Mm-hmm. You were kind of backed up into the Japanese mats. You were looking around. It felt uncomfortable. So there was just a subtlety to the behavior. And for me personally, what happened, just holding the sacred space for you, I heard, this is the trauma. And at that point, I looked over at Ange, and she was taking notes because you were talking. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of signaled to her. We both came down on the bed and just did, put our hands on you. And
yeah, because this was my peak moment. So yes. It was probably about 3 hours in, probably when I was at my peak trip. Would you say, is that common? Yeah. Like where someone hits their climax of the experience or whatever. Mm-hmm. So for reference, this lasted about 6 hours for me, which is not a short amount of time. Like I did go all in. So this was probably at about the 3 hour point. And I became very overwhelmed because I was seeing so much, you guys. Like my brain was so open. I mean, I was seeing spirit guides. I was seeing the matrix. I was getting downloads and calls to action and all of these things. And I started to feel super overwhelmed about it. Like, whoa, this is too much. This is too much, everybody. And so I kind of came out of it, and the girls came and sat by me. And this is what I'm talking about, grounding you again. Someone there that can be like, hey, let's talk this through. And I think you guys even said, because a lot of this time I had been telling you guys, it felt like a meeting. I'm in a meeting, and I don't know. She must have been to my right, because I kept pointing to my right, like, this bitch is a lot, right? Like, and I was talking about this Athena, which is me, and it became overwhelming at that point. And so I think you guys even suggested to me, why don't you go in and ask them to, basically I needed to set some boundaries for what was happening.
Right. You were essentially, okay, we can look at the language. You were overwhelmed. You needed to set some boundaries. You were, I think there was a lot of language around being confused. These are all elements of, even though it wasn't how you thought you were going to experience it, right? But those are some pretty large elements of your trauma.
Yes, absolutely.
You were overwhelmed, you were confused, and you needed to set boundaries. And you were being shown you were kind of alchemizing how to set a boundary for yourself, kind of going back in and setting boundaries for yourself, not specifically looking at the trauma. That wasn't what was important. You were just doing the same thing you would have needed to have done back when that was happening to you.
Yes. Like an out of body type feeling of experience. Yeah. So I took it as I was committing to keep my body healthy, all of these things. When this was happening, I was seeing things happening in my body. I could almost see my organs in my body going through a repair process, if that makes sense. It was almost like they were helping, I don't know, fix my DNA, I don't know. I just felt like I was being healed. And that was probably part of the time when then the trauma was releasing back out so that I had more room, right? Because then after that, I started getting shown really big things about our timeline, our matrix, how things work. And so I think I probably had to clear that out, right, to get to that point. I also had a really cool, so there's a dog there and she was really sweet. And she's like a therapy dog, I think. Anyway, so she would come lay by me instinctively sometimes. I think she knew when to come to me. So she would come lay by me. I would feel her. Again, I've got, I can't see. I'm just in my little goggles and my noise canceling headphones, but she would come and she would lay next to me. And then at one point I had my hand on her. All right, guys, this is going to get woo-woo, but listen, I swear to God, it took me back to her past life, the dog's past life. And I think as I look back, it felt like a training experience to me. Like, here's what you could open up and do for yourself, for people, I don't know what, I haven't figured it all out yet. Guys, this isn't that long ago I did this. Anyway, but I visualized her entire past life is what I believe. And she was an elephant out in the pride. And I mean, I don't know that much about elephants, right? But they showed me so many cool elephant things. I saw the protective circle they make around their young. I saw how the oldest, wisest elephant in a group instinctively knows how to go find food and water and leads them all to that. I was seeing all this stuff and I saw like her trauma from that lifetime, right? Because there was this protective circle. There was enemies. I believe an elephant died. There was a lot going on. And so I almost saw her trauma, the dog. I saw her whole elephant life. I'm just saying, you guys, this is part of what happened. So I wasn't working through my traumas for 6 hours. I was seeing some pretty cool stuff, right? And I felt like I was being guided and educated the whole time too. I felt like I was getting downloads and I didn't know what they all meant at the time. I still don't know what some of them mean. I think it will unfold over months, years, my lifetime. I don't know. But I did meet parts. We talked about IFS and parts. Athena was training me also how to get some of my parts under control, like my spider. I think I've told you guys about my spider. Anyway, like my spider, she was there. And at one point, she was big. She was beautiful. Okay. She had sequins on her. She was like a badass spider. And it felt like I had to look up to see her. That's how big and ominous she was. And she was doing her thing. And Athena jumps in and she's like, you need to get that thing under control. And I was like, what? Like, I felt like I needed to bow down to the spider. She's like, no, we don't bow down to that part, that spider. You need to get that thing in check. I'm just saying, this is how Athena, she was something. Anyway, so at one point I put a leash on it. Then I didn't feel comfortable with the leash on the spider. So I took it off, but I felt like she was under control. And she was a part of me that I could now embody and embrace and use properly without feeling overwhelmed by her. Okay, I'm still working on this spider thing, but that was a cool moment. Lots of just different cool things went on like that. And again, these are like rooms. I would go through this whole thing. I would come out of it. I would talk, go to the bathroom, get a sip of water. I don't know. I hardly drank all day. I don't know. I didn't drink or eat the whole time. I just didn't feel the need to. So I didn't. I guess you should stay more hydrated maybe than I did. I don't know. But listen, if I was thirsty, I took a sip. If I wasn't, I didn't, right? So, I mean, I had at the place I was at, there was some snacks prepared. I wasn't hungry the whole time. I'm trying to think if there's any other major thing I saw. I mean, I saw a lot of I really thought I would dig more into each individual relationship I have, right? I thought, I'm going to go back with my abuser. I'm going to deal with my mom. I'm going to deal with my kids or like whatever, my husband. And that didn't really happen. I was shown things, about like how we're placed in each other's lives for a reason, why my children were placed and my husband were placed. And they showed me all these things about why everything has lined up so beautifully for me now in my life, right? Like that these things were placed here for me so that I could do the work in this lifetime. So I could do that work for myself, for the generations before and behind me. Okay. So I was trying to do generational work this whole time too. So, which if we go all the way, this is leading somewhere, but listen. So if we go back to one of my first soul readings with Ange, she had gone through and she had found where my bloodline was tainted type of business. Okay. It was like I don't know how many grandmas back, pretty far back. I don't know her name. I didn't know anything, but I felt connected to her. So I was wondering when this whole journey was going to be done, because I would take them off and you think maybe it's done. You're like, am I done? They'd be like, well, if you don't know, you're probably not. Is that normal, you guys? Do people think they're done, but oopsie, you're not?
Yeah, it's like comes in waves.
Yeah. And how do you gauge that for people? Is it the vibe in the room? Is it the dose and the time? Is it a combination?
Kind of all of it.
Kind of all of it. Like if you take a teeny tiny dose, you probably know it's only going to last so long. Yeah. But I went all in. So anyway, I wasn't sure if I was done. And I wanted to attest to this playlist because at one point I remember thinking, are my thoughts being controlled by the playlist, or are my thoughts controlling the playlist? I remember thinking, how is this music lining up perfectly with what I'm visualizing? Yeah. And so I remember, what is this place, whatever. And then I think I got shut down because Andrew's like, you can interview us later, Jen. Like, go cut it out. Okay. So I was like, okay, you're right. I got to get out of podcast mode. Well, she was like, we'll talk about the playlist later. Just move on. And I was like, okay. So I did. But I remember the playlist really matching well. Sometimes it felt very tribal. Sometimes it felt very relaxed and meditative. There weren't words in any of the music. Okay. And this is actually, you told me later, the playlist that they use a lot with the trials for MDMA and all the different things. So this is a very specific playlist, you guys. I was getting towards the end and I was wondering, am I done? Am I not done? And I was in there and the songs weren't hitting anymore. There was a song that just wasn't hitting. I wasn't really visualizing much with it. And I was like, does this mean I'm done? I was like, let me give it another song. So another one started up and it was this tribal song. And then I started visualizing who I knew was my ancestor grandma from that reading. How did I know? I don't know. Just my soul knew that this woman was her. I look over and she's dancing. She is in celebration. It's tribal. This woman was beautiful. She had darker skin, brown hair. She was beautiful. And she was dancing. She said no words to me. We didn't speak at all, but I knew she was in celebration of the work I did. It was almost like she could rest because someone had taken over the generational bullshit. You know what I mean? Like finally someone's doing the work, right? She was like super proud of me and she was dancing. And when she finished, I threw that shit off and I was like, I'm done. I knew I was done. I threw everything off and I just looked at the girls and I was like, I'm done. That's it. That was my finale. Is that normal? Do people just know when they're done?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think if you're like questioning it, then you go back in for a little while and then you
see if something comes about. And you go back and forth.
Which is one of the reasons why we really like using psilocybin, because it does kind of put you right back into the world pretty quickly.
Yes.
Unlike when we were using MDMA for quite a long time. That is not the case. But with the psilocybin,
it felt like a pretty soft landing at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It felt pretty good.
Yeah.
So let me just bring this into after the trip, because you can't go home and forget this all happened. Okay, you can try, but it won't work. So here's the deal. I'll just tell you guys logistically that night. I got home. I could just start to get a little bit of a headache. I ate some food. I felt a little nauseous. I just went to bed. Basically, I was like, screw this. I have done a lot of work today. I just need to sleep this off now. So I did. So I went to bed. I didn't take my normal gummy or anything. So I was like, I'm not going to mix stuff. I don't know what's going on. I feel pretty tired. I'm going to sleep. So I never threw up. I was never sick. Oh, the next day. So because I've heard people have a lot of trouble grounding again from the other medicines, right? I had someone recently tell me the whole next couple of days, they had a lot of paranoia, a lot of other things. And I was like, that is not the case with this psilocybin for me anyway. I don't know if that's the case for anyone, but it felt like a very soft landing into the next few days. I felt very open. My brain was open. I could feel it. Everything, the vibration felt different in my world. And this is where I began to, my human self again, I got nervous I'd lose it because this feeling, I really liked it. Yeah. I liked feeling open. I liked feeling connected to the other sides in a strong way and to my own intuition. I felt very connected to myself is what I guess I felt connected to. I didn't want to lose it. I'm starting to count out because for the record, they say for every 1 hour you're in your trip, your brain's open for about a week. Is that right?
Yeah, there's some research that is supporting this concept that quite a few of the psychedelics will reopen critical periods. And so for each hour that you are under the influence of the substance, it's about a week of a critical period being reopened.
Because would it be accurate to say for the next, so 6 hours? So for me, I knew about 6 weeks, I was going to be pretty open. Are you rewiring your thought patterns? Is that possible?
Yeah, it's an opportunity to do that for sure. So like the woman who is leading that work, she works out of Johns Hopkins, and it's the Fathom Lab, which is like psychedelic healing and something. She's got some really cool stuff going on. She is like working with like octopuses and MDMA and seeing how these substances impact critical periods. She's looking at social learning. And so one of the things that she talks about is how important it is in the coming weeks when you are really open like that to be really mindful. I think she literally says, treat yourself the way you would a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid, really gentle. You're open. You're in this space where you can learn differently, feeding yourself, or, whatever you're around, this is your subject then to that,
Yes. So the fact that I had heard that and knew that made me nervous, honestly, because A, I wanted to stay open. B, I didn't really want to watch the news or anything because I was like, that ain't how I want my brain rewired. You know what I mean? Like I took it very serious that I might be starting some new patterns in my brain. And so I was like trying to not watch a lot of news or do a lot of things. So that's part of it. And then these girls also told me that I should not make any big life decisions for 63 days. All right. And for the record, I'm past that now. We all just realized I made it. I graduated from past my 63 days now that I'm talking to you guys. But so I was conscious of all these things. I was like, all right, well, I can't make any big decisions. I really need to be gentle with myself. So Ange sent me home with this little journal that she'd been writing in the whole time so that I could trigger my memory. I didn't read it or do anything for a few days. I really just let myself sit in just whatever popped in my brain, right? Because I was having cool meditations too. Things were opening up. I was going in and asking, hey, let's extend on that little memory from that. That was part of the work of afterwards. All right, now I got to figure out what these things mean. And then you need to stay in touch with people. Okay, which this is not my personality. Okay, I met a new part through this process, but here's what happened. Jesus. So I have a very specific personality quite often. And so I sometimes I like a lot of alone time. I like to turn the world off. That's part of my coping mechanism, whatever it is. I like to, and I don't really care quite often, which Athena taught me too. Like we don't care, but we do have to care about some stuff. So anyway, you have to stay in touch with people. So these girls were part of my team, right? So I was, we were texting, I was letting them know things, whatever. And then Jen went silent. And they were reaching out and I was not it wasn't in my mind like, screw them, I'm not talking to them. Not at all. I turned the whole world off is what I did, right? I wasn't answering anybody else's texts, but I also wasn't answering these girls. And listen, they were working hard to get a hold of me. All right. Okay. So I got called out. And this is part of their job, all right, is to make sure you're okay. Because I did alter my brain. You guys, this isn't a small thing. I don't want people walking into this like it's a small thing. This is a thing, right? And my brain is rewiring. And I am dealing with traumas and all of these things. So you do really want to make sure that someone's okay for a good period of time after, right? So I went off grid. And then they got a hold of me finally. I got backed into a corner basically, and I got, okay. So we got on a little group phone call, and I'm going to be honest. It started off, I was pissed. I'm just going to tell you guys the truth. I was a little pissed because I'm like, I'm a grown ass fucking woman and I will do whatever the fuck I want you to. Okay, listen.
I love that part of you.
This is what I said. And I was like, okay, let me just slow your roll because I'm a grown ass woman. If I don't want to answer a text, I fucking won't. This is the mode I was in at the time. Okay. Because come to find out, I was riding what you guys called riding the waves. Because at the beginning, there's this open mind of euphoria. And I was like, I love this so much. And then you start riding the waves where it's like, you're riding emotional waves, basically, right? You're down, you're up, you're down, you're up. You're doing work, right? So I was on my waves. This is why you need someone on your team because you never know when your wave's going to dip too low, when you're going to dip even too high, too manic. I don't know. It goes all over the place. And so you have to stay in touch. So I got reprimanded. But in that happening to me, here's what I learned. What I realized was that is a part I hadn't really addressed yet. the part of me that says, I don't need anyone else. I don't need support. I don't need help. I can handle this. I've been handling this shit since I can remember, since I was a kid, right? Like I haven't felt safe in a room my whole life. So these girls called me out. Now I'm going to cry because it was a big moment for me. Because listen, Athena was a bitch. I probably need more bitches in my life. I guess. I don't know. These two volunteered to be my bitches. Listen, they called me out. So then I had to do work on what, like, why? Why do you ignore people for so long? Why do you not reach out for help? Okay, so let me just stop crying so that I can speak. This is an integration session live, honestly, you guys. This is what happens after. Because, you got to do sessions after, too. Continue the IFS. Continue, I don't know, all the things.
There's so much being revealed.
There's so much. Yeah, so anyway, I got called out. It's this what I'm saying. Work sucks. Work is hard. I did not like it. I was just saying, like, it sucked. I keep telling you guys, it's going to suck. The work is going to suck. I'm telling you, it sucks. I just did some again. Like, it never ends. I've got thrown back into phase 3 again for the work. And I've been doing work a long time. I will never be done. I already know that. You will never be done if you're listening. Like, just, yeah, the work sucks. But if we can sprinkle in the fun with the work and in between the work, it's doable. So I met another part, and this wasn't even during the journey. This was post-journey. And I'm sure I've got like a million more parts that are just waiting to meet me. So we'll see when they come.
How does it feel to recognize that it's okay to need people in your life?
Hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, I still don't like it. It doesn't sit well yet. This is fresh, you guys. Again, like, yes, it's been more than my 63 days, but this isn't 4 years ago for me. This is still fresh. Like, I'm still in it. So it still feels uncomfortable. I'm not going to say that me and that part have figured things out yet. Yeah. Like, we haven't. But it does feel good to know that that's just a part of me that I can work with now. I'm not stuck in that survival mode. She can help me when she needs to help me. I need her. I need them all. Like, I don't want to get rid of any part. Like, let me make that clear. We don't want to get rid of parts of ourselves. We just want to embrace them and work as a team, I guess, a little bit better. That's how I visualize it anyway. So it feels hard, but good. I don't know. It's a weird feeling because I know I have plenty of people that would, if I reach out, they would help. I know that. But also, I don't really want to ask for help. I don't know. Does it have to do with me like feeling like a burden? Me not like I won't be a strong woman anymore, right? Which goes back to that, in some of the recent episodes, embracing your feminine side again. Not that masculine, go, go, go. I don't need help. I can conquer the world. Business, getting back to our feminine side. That's like, okay, no, we can ask for help. Yeah, that's how she feels. That's how that one feels.
And also to just bring another layer to that, because it feels important, is that you may not need help, but you stay connected. You may not need anything.
Right.
But to stay connected from a place of even a boundaried place. I'm doing okay. I'm needing some silence, but I'm okay.
Yeah, the communication factor part of it.
It's like just a boundary.
Yeah. Because they did tell me, because when we came to a resolution on this moment, you guys, on the phone, when I came around to like, no, okay, I understand. You're looking for proof of life. You just want to know I'm okay. I understand that. I mean, they even told me, you can just send us a middle finger emoji. Like,
for sure.
You guys taught me some language where it's like, listen, my part of me right now really needs to just be alone and process. I don't really want the outside world in here with me right now, but just the communication of letting people know, which I will say, I don't know how much anyone knows about human design. My human design is manifestor. And this goes along perfectly with that too, because manifestors make decisions. They don't ask permission for what they're going to do. But one of our struggles as a manifestor in human design is that you need to keep communication though. You need to let others know what you're doing. You're not asking permission for what you're doing. Right. You're letting your loved ones, your people know what you're doing. It's awesome. A big part of it.
That's
So I was like, "Ooh, this kind of links with my human design." This is how I was made. For good or bad, because it can go either way. Yeah. So I guess this whole journey really has just helped me like connect with myself better, which was the intention I set, right? So I could walk a more authentic path. So I would have a vision of a little bit more work that maybe I needed to do. And also I saw a lot of really cool universal things. At one point I felt like they wanted to show me how to astral project. And I was like, hell no, guys, too much. We've done a lot today. I almost had to tell him, I'm like, no, I'll come back. I'll come back. We'll do this another time, but this is too much. I had to, like you said, I had to set boundaries with my spirit team, my parts. I had to be like, this is a lot for me today, you guys. So could we slow down? I can only help who I can help. I can only do what I can do, because I felt like they were giving me big projects, right? And I had to narrow it back down to like, we got to the point of agreement. I only want you to show me what is beneficial for myself and the collective right now. I can't see the whole grid, the whole matrix. It's too much. I can't do that right now. So could we just narrow it down to what I need to know right now, what I need to be doing in this world right now, right? Like slow your roll. And they were even showing me how to gauge who's worthy of my energy, who's not, who's here to make a difference in the timeline and who's not. Like these were some of the lessons I learned during it. So they were big. It wasn't just all trauma stuff. There was big universal things that kept coming through too, like big downloads that, again, I don't have this all figured out. Maybe be more clear to me. I don't know. But in general, I think I accomplished what I set out to. If y'all are wondering if I do it again, yes, I would. Yes, I will. Okay. I'm waiting to see what that time like feels right in my body, like when that works. But integration wise afterwards, we're still doing the work. I'm still needing to do sessions and check-ins and integration work. Tell me what you guys, if you're wondering, because I know some people hear the word integration, like, what the hell is she talking about? What is integration? Why is it important and what is it?
Integration it's the process that you participate in after you have an experience. And this goes way beyond like psychedelic experiences, right? But it's taking what you experienced during your journey and now coming back into your life and exploring how you're going to embody that, understand that, deepen the understanding, of what was being communicated to you, shown to you, worked out in you on this day. Now you've got to bring it into your life. I mean, I think this example that you gave, Jen, of like being reprimanded, I think it's funny that that's, it's
sent to the principal's office.
It's such a great example, though, of like an integration opportunity. One of the themes that comes up in the research, particularly around psilocybin, is this theme of connectedness. And what many, many people report feeling during and after a journey is connectedness. And you were describing it specifically as like more connected with yourself, right? You identified also prior to doing your session that your tendency in attachment patterns is to be avoidant, which is a more
for sure
disconnected way of relating to sometimes ourselves, others, the world. And so here was this experience happening in real time that without integration, you may have just bypassed it. Like, yep, okay, whatever, I don't want to talk to anyone. And this is just what I do. Leave me alone. I'm over here in my own world. The integration opportunity there was, hey, let's look at what's actually happening in your system right now. These old patterns that have been there for multiple decades for good reason, can bring parts into that, all of the things. These patterns that have been built in there's an opportunity to start to dissolve them. That is part of what psilocybin seems to be doing for us, is assisting us in dissolving old patterns to increase a sense of connectedness. And so that's just a real-time example of taking our experiences and the information, the learnings that we got during our journey and bringing it through and saying, oh, okay, all right, this is what's happening. And here's, it's the work part of it, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And integration also, like, so potent to hear you say from the very beginning, you can't move forward until you remember who you are. You can't move forward until you remember who you are. So the integration of that statement alone is like, that kind of blows my mind personally.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Because then you were shown like all of these really cool things that maybe you've thought about before, maybe you've fantasized before, maybe you dreamt about, like, oh, that would be cool. Oh, that would be cool. But you're not able to get to your highest potential if you're walking around with the heaviness of trying to figure out all this trauma and all these things and blah, blah, blah. Do I need to work on myself more? It almost was like you were just given that beautiful gift in the first period of your session of like, you can't do all of these things in the world if you just don't remember the truth of who you are, which is technically what you've been asking for. You want to live authentically.
Right.
And there's almost a question like, what does that even mean? We're talking about what does integration mean? But like authenticity is thrown around all over the place. What does that even mean? Literally, we're given information inside of that space of what is your authenticity? Who really are you in this life?
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally feel that.
And that is integration. Like you're owning it. You're not avoiding it. You're bringing it home.
Yeah.
Embracing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like my mindset on certain things has changed. Like you said, over the last 60 plus days, like I feel like I have rewired some thought, the way I think about certain things and the way I'm able to like recover from thoughts that are maybe ruminating, you know, or whatever, like able to just like stop the parent and be like, yeah, we don't care. Like she kept telling me that we don't fucking care. And it's like, okay, stop. Like, why are we caring so much about that? Yeah. That we don't have to care about that. So
that's an awesome integration point. Like just even to witness it all together here is you were given these instructions in a very poetic way. Very poetic.
Yeah.
We don't care. And that has helped you move through a ruminating thought.
Right.
That's pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah.
That can send people down a depressive hole or an anxious hole for their entire lifetime. People ruminate on things. You were given this beautiful poetic way in which to move through those things. And can I guess that it felt effortless when you did it the first time? When you were like, actually, we don't care.
Yeah. No, it does. Like it's just, and I think it connected me to my intuition deeper too, with the we don't care part, you know, and like, well, let me think about that. No, we don't care.
Correct.
Well, like we don't care.
Contamination of thoughts that are not important to who you are, what you're doing, who you really are. And I mean, that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really.
No, it was good. And this is why I bring this stuff to you guys out there because you can do, and I've done a lot of traditional therapy in my 20s, in my 30s. Like for those of you who like things that happen a little quicker, this work does it. And I don't mean quick, because I've been doing work in the spiritual journey for years. You're not going to solve this in a week. But I will say that rather than talk therapy, you know, we talked about the IFS, like getting into your internal self and really digging in, right? Not worrying about what am I going to do about my relationship, my marriage? What am I going to do about my relationship with all these external things? Well, you're not going to do shit until you take care of your internal. And let me just say, that marriage isn't getting better. You're not going to be a better parent. You're not going to be a better coworker, whatever the hell you're trying to improve on, until you make yourself better. Until you go internal, you can't even work on that stuff. I don't think. It's what I'm learning. Because, yeah, you can go to couples therapy, you can go whatever. But if you're individually not doing the work inside, I mean, what are you even doing? Like, it's not going to work. I feel like even if you don't want to do the plant medicine, just going internally and doing work on yourself will change everything.
Yeah.
Right? Does this journey feel like it sped things up? Of course it did. Right? Because I opened my brain in a big way with magic mushrooms. So yes, it will speed up the process. Right? And this is not me telling anyone they need to do this for their mental health or anything else. This is an individual decision, right? You're either going to resonate with this, you're going to feel it in your intuition that this is a path you might want to explore and take, or you're not. Or you're going to go, nope, no way in hell I'm doing that. And that's okay too. Then don't do it, right?
And I think all of the things that you talk about in your podcast, like all of these things that we do to start caring for ourselves deeper are just so foundational to the work. So you've been in therapy, you've done so many things. That's like it's like you're gearing up. You've gathered your tools, you've gathered some resources. It's like you've actually been packing your bag for this journey for a long time, and you were able to experience your journey in a potentially a different kind of a way because you've been exposed to all of those things. So it is actually a really wonderful thing for people to have some of these experiences under their belt before embarking on the journey.
Yes. And I haven't done any other type of medicine, so I can't really speak to it, but it felt gentle. It felt easy to, like I said, I wasn't paranoid. There was no craziness for the next few days. It felt like I could ground in pretty well right away. Even that night, I didn't feel, you know what I mean? Like craziness, like that people listening might be scared about. Because I was also scared that I was not even going to like my people anymore. I was like, what if I get shown things and I'm like getting a divorce tomorrow? Now, what if I come out and my brain, my unconscious decides like some big things have to change, which is kind of why you're supposed to wait the 63 days to file for divorce on day 2. Anyway, but that did not happen to me though. I will say I left very enamored with my husband. I was like, I just love him so much. Anyway, but I was like, fearful that I might. Like, what if I come out and my best friend, I don't like her anymore? What if, you know what I mean? Like you go in with some of those fears. Like,
I think you're answering the question that you posed in the other episode that we did together, Jen, about like what might be happening when we're going through an awakening and like why our parts get all stirred up. You're like answering that question right now. Like, oh my God, what might need to change now that I'm waking up more to the truth of who I am, the truth of like the larger thing that's happening here, you know?
Yeah, like what changes do you make? And I'm not saying changes don't need made. Yeah, I'm prepared to make changes. Yeah. Right. But you get nervous about them because change is hard, right? Yeah, change is hard, necessary often, but hard. And so that was just something I was nervous about, but it's like, it's all good. Not doing any big life changing things necessarily. But yeah, I just feel more connected to my intuition and my decision making and my all the things. So if you're out there and like you're hitting a wall, I don't know, maybe you're at a point where you're like, I don't know what to do next. I am doing work. I need to do more. This might be an option. I don't know. Yeah. So, think about it. I don't know. I've been talking a lot. I haven't even gotten these girls to share much of their stuff, but whatever. I'm over here integrating live. Anyway,
keep going.
Integrating live. Because listen, I'm not the only, this isn't just a Jen story. There are a lot of people doing these trips and really healing from some amazing things. Are there any just quick things where you have had other clients that have like really had some profound changes after a trip or a journey?
Oh yeah.
All of them.
Pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Because I think everybody has come to us in that place where they are doing the work. You know, they're doing work and they've just kind of hit a place. I don't know what to do now. I'm still struggling with this and I just cannot. I'm stuck.
Yeah, I can't get past it.
And so I would say all of our people have had massive, even if their life looks exactly the same on the outside, their internal experience is totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the change we need internally, right? Yeah. What I'm hearing is like, if you're thinking about this, you don't have to blow your life up. No. This is just part of the work, the journey, getting to know yourself better, your parts better. Connecting. And then that will ripple out and affect the people around you in a positive way. And you don't have to make big changes, right? You don't have to go file for divorce, quit your job. No, like
we've definitely had medicine students who have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. That is could be a thing.
Yeah.
But not in a way that was destructive to
you know how to handle
themselves or the relationship. It was, some of the examples I can think of were done eloquently with as much grace as possible because the medicine teaches that.
Yeah.
It teaches, and when you're connected to self energy, there is compassion. You're functioning at a level when you're making changes, if that is what you need, you are functioning at a really excellent high level,
Yeah. Because if it comes out during your plant journey, that's probably something that was subconscious. It was meant to come up.
That's your review for sure.
Yeah, therein is the work. Yeah, if it comes up in there, you can be pretty sure that's where the work is to be done. And then what's the protocol? How often do people do these things? There is a protocol for PTSD and stuff, right? Isn't there research on doing 3 journeys within a certain amount of time? But that's different for everyone.
It is, yeah. Like the MDMA trials specifically for PTSD have been 3 active sessions within 6 months. So it's there's preparation, any journey that you're going to take, no matter who you're with, we highly, highly, highly recommend be with folks who are going to take you through a preparation process. And then an integration process. Yeah. So if you find a practitioner who doesn't recommend or isn't, highlighting preparation and integration for you, find someone else.
Yeah. I did this on my own schedule, right? Yeah. We did prep. I decided the date, all of these things. Okay. Because some people just go on a retreat.
Yeah.
It's 7 days, it's 10 days, it's whatever. But you're still doing the prep work in those. It's just a little bit more intense.
Well, and that's actually the work that we do together. So our work is preparation and integration. So if, just to speak to folks who might be deciding, hey, I'm going to go to Costa Rica and I'm going to do an ayahuasca retreat, you probably are going to get a little preparation, a little integration there, but more than likely you're going to want more when you come back. And we are actively working with folks who are coming back from retreats and are coming to do integration work with us.
That makes sense. Okay, so if you're out there and you're looking online, you're like, oh, maybe I will do that plant medicine retreat. You should get a team on board in your area, or someone, you know what I mean, for prep before and after, right? Because that 7 days isn't really enough. You aren't going to integrate in that amount of time. I'll tell you now, after this experience, that's not long enough.
You're going to get so much more if you have yourself set up to be integrated.
Because a lot of times if it is, not legal where you're at or whatever, you may need to travel to do the journey. But then, it's not illegal to integrate and prep, guys.
That's
so
it,
you can do that in your own hometown.
And it's also really powerful because, as you can attest to, after the journey, it's a little difficult to talk about what you've just experienced with any random person who's not done it. And so to have a community or
that says, that's normal,
a couple of people to say, okay, we hear you, understand you. That feels really, really important.
You need that.
It can be a little isolating.
Yeah.
If you've had a pretty profound experience, say in Costa Rica, and you come home and you don't have people that you can talk through it with and share the stories of what you saw, what you felt.
Right. In a safe, non-judgmental type of environment. Someone would be like, ooh, because that seems normal. I had that too.
Correct. Yeah. Or to be able to, how you would say, I don't even know how to put words to this experience, but this is what I was like, this is what happened.
And everybody in the group is like, I get it. You don't need words. You don't need words. I get it. Yeah. No, that's important.
It's important.
That is really important.
Especially during that critical period that's open once you're home.
Yes.
Yeah. And that critical period, like you said, is a week per hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks just about like that.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. All right. So anyway, guys, this is what I did. And I'll probably do it again. I'm going to be honest. I'm glad that we were able to share. I'll keep you updated, everybody, right? If anything changes or I get new downloads or things you need to know, I'll let you know. Listen, this is a lot for me, just so everyone listening knows. I don't share this shit with just everybody. And now I have it out on the interweb. Anyway, you guys are now my close-knit circle if you listen to this episode. So, send me a little message or something. I could use a little support. No. Anywho, are there any thoughts you guys have about my journey or anything? I mean, else?
I'm curious to hear from you how you are feeling in the moment.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, you look really grounded.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty grounded. I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm feeling like I'm ready for this fire horse year now. I'm glad I did this early in the year, right? Before all of this going on. And especially now, I feel good that I'm grounded because there's a lot of crazy in the world right now. All right. Let's be honest, you guys. And I still try and stay away from the news a bit, but you gotta stay kind of informed, right? Shit's hitting the fan. I feel that sense of my little Athena's we don't care. I do care about everything happening in the world, in the universe. I do. But I know my place. I know what I can help with and what I can't. I know what my path looks like, and I know to stay on it. Because I think if we all stay on our own paths, it will all get better. It will. So I just feel very secure in that. So I'm glad I did this work before so much craziness is going on in the world. And I feel, I just feel very connected to my intuition. I really don't question my decisions as much, if that makes sense. I just am nope, that feels right. And I go with it. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good right now. I'm taking all these things into consideration when I'm thinking, how long do I wait for the next one? What do I do next? Because I'm a what's next kind of girl. That's how my brain works, right? I accomplished this. Now what's coming for me next? So, which is part of the work too, because I need to chill out more. But my part that needs, to be in the process of something. Because during the beginning of my spiritual journey, I got a lot coming through that was just because I was what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? I'm doing all the courses and the books and they were, and it just kept coming through you need to relax. You need to just be. It would come through, just be. You've done a lot of work, girl. just be now, right? Like we'll show you, we'll show you it's next. You don't have to work so damn hard. It's not that serious. That's been coming through a lot for me. Like, it's not that serious. Yes, this life has meaning and you need to get some things done and blah, blah, but honestly, it's not that serious, girl. Yeah. Like, we're all going to get back to the other side and it's going to be fine. We're going to plan to do this again, maybe. Right? Maybe. Or not. We'll wait and see how far I've gotten, if I got to come back to this hellhole again or not. Okay. So anyway, I'm over here doing the work. I'm always telling you guys, you got to do the work. Well, I practice what I preach. I am over here doing the work. This is not just for show for the podcast when I say these things. This is, I'm doing it. Right? Doing it. These girls is testifying for me. She's doing work. Damn work I'm trying to get you guys to do. I'm doing. Yeah. Anyway, listen, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode as I pour my little psychedelic journey out upon you all. And I hope if it resonates with you, reach out, look into it. If it doesn't right now, it might in a year, it might in 5 years. And you'll think back to this and be like, I might be ready. I mean, I'm not here to force anybody or tell anybody what they need to be doing on their own spiritual journey. I just like to present you guys with things so that you can see if maybe that's what's next, and hopefully not feel alone in the journey, right? Because if we just tell you, if Jen can make this kind of progress, I'm pretty sure anybody can, right? Because I'm pretty stubborn. So if I can crack open, you can crack open too. Oh my God. All right. Again, set your intention, do this properly. This is not me saying to go buy a Ziploc baggie from your neighbor and go in the backyard. Nope, don't do that. I don't, I mean, do if you want, but this is not what I'm talking about on this podcast today, right? That's just, we'll end it with another disclaimer. This might be for you. It might not. Not telling you to do anything illegal, not telling you to do anything really, just letting you know what's out there. And if you so decide, go for it. Like I did. Thanks for being here, girls. Thanks for, I just had a session here. Yeah. I feel like I should be paying them now for my integration, but it's fine. Yeah, it's going to be
fine.
Good. It's fine. That's another part. My part that needs people to get paid properly. I do not like shysting people at all, right? I am not the one who leaves 50 to tip. No, like you're going to get 20% or more out of me. That's all I'm saying. So that's a part of me. Anyway, I'm working through some stuff. All right. Well, thanks for listening, you guys. I will see you next week where I'm sure we're going to have another amazing guest. Okay. See you guys later. Listen, I know your time is valuable, and right now I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.